Okay, thank you everybody for coming. I want to thank all the volunteers tonight who have given up their time, who have joined the movement and are signing people up. I'm going to bring it up one more. There we go. So yes, thank you again to all the volunteers. Thank you, Bisharo and Brian, for your kind words. And of course, thank you, Cafe Steam, for the many cups of amazing coffee that you have poured for me, and for hosting tonight's gathering. I really can't imagine a better place to have this campaign kick off. It's like my second home. You see me here all the time. So, I was crossing the street right here in downtown Rochester when this car came screeching to a halt right next to me. I thought that the walk light was on at the intersection. Obviously it wasn't. That's because I'm legally blind. And since I don't drive, I understand the limitations of our current public transportation system. It not only limits mobility, but it limits job opportunities, access to healthcare, housing options, taking our kids to after-school activities, and even running out and picking up some milk. And I have heard these same stories from people across this city. And as our city grows, parking, especially downtown, driving, will only become more challenging. So that is why our city needs a leader who understands these issues firsthand, and a leader that listens. A leader that listens and knows that equity is at the heart of the solution to these problems. So recently, here in the city of Rochester, our bus system has expanded hours. We now have weekend times, Sunday schedule, and also times in the evening, but that does not expand to all the routes. My bus route currently still has no weekend or evening times. So many of us who don't drive, we have to dig even deeper into our pockets just to get around. But mobility is a civil right. It is a civil right. And that is why 2 years ago, I joined a grassroots effort here in Rochester to put pressure on the city council to bring Lyft and Uber to Rochester. Now, these rideshare options certainly have saved me and many others money, but it adds up. That's why, as mayor, I will push forward the comprehensive plan, get that moving, and the plan will include a multimodal public transportation system that works for all and has economic and environmental sustainability at its core. Now, a reliable and affordable public transportation system not only serves our city and our residents, but it also creates jobs and it boosts our economy. According to the American Public Transit Association, for every $1 that we invest in transportation, we see $4 in return in our economy. But increased access to our jobs, that also has to be met with a livable wage, so that no one has to work 60 hours a week in order to provide for their family. A livable wage leads to better job satisfaction and overall quality of life. We have seen how a livable wage leads to job productivity, and it leads to less days. It leads to a decrease in the days that employees are taking off work. Now, I have worked alongside some of the most dedicated and hard-working women and men in this city, and I have heard their stories about how they work 2, even 3 jobs just to make ends meet. They've shared stories with me of how they put their health care on the back burner because they can't afford to take a day off of work to see their health care provider. They don't have as much time with their families. They can't take care of their elderly relative at home. But our society is built on the bonds of our family. And when our families suffer, when our health suffers, we all suffer, employer and employee alike. And we also see that a livable wage comes with a minimal cost to our city's budget. What I also wanted to share is that, speaking of, how we're suffering with taking care of our families, too much time away from home, we all know that we're also suffering because of the affordable housing crisis. And I know many of you here right now in this room could probably share your stories with me about it, and I've heard them. It is a crisis. I have been to your meetings, I've listened to your stories, I have felt your frustrations. It's estimated by 2020 we will need 1,725 affordable housing units. Right now we have 110. It's just not working right now. This is a complex issue that requires a collaborative solution. With the DMC, the Destination Medical Center, we have a fantastic opportunity for our city. But Rochester has to be a city where we can work and live and not scrape by paycheck to paycheck. It has to work for all of us. And we are so fortunate to have in Rochester so many organizations who have worked for years towards the affordable housing issue. We have grassroots groups, concerned citizens who have come together, who have organized about the affordable housing issue in the City for Good, Rochester for Justice, CURE. And I am also a supporter of the Rochester Area Foundation's Affordable Housing Coalition. And I look forward to my own organization being part of the Affordable Housing Alliance and bringing forward the voices of the Somali community to the affordable housing issue. And I've been working on these equity issues in Rochester for years with the Ethical Practices Board and the Olmsted County Human Rights Commission. And that's why I am running for mayor, to make sure this conversation remains at the forefront of our city's plan for growth. Now, I may be legally blind, but I have a vision for Rochester. And it is a vision that this is a city where everybody can call home. I am Regina Mustafa, and I am running to be your next mayor of the city of Rochester. Thank you so much.